What's that?
All right, we are live, and it is showtime, as Buck Rogers just said in the live chat. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit under the weather today. I actually sound worse than I feel, but it's me and B Money right now, and sure the other guys will be joining us here shortly. But B, what is going on, dude?
Much, man. Another great Wednesday night. Happy to be here.
Yes,
Talk about
sir.
this thing we love is gaming. So let's get to it.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a question, man. Have you played? You've been playing Star Wars Fallen Order, right?
I played it for a little bit, man, and like attention really. So I've been the first time.
B, are you there, man? I can't hear you. I think I may have lost you there, B.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
You not hear me?
No, you broke up there, but I can hear you now.
What the world is wrong with your voice?
Oh, dude, it's what happens when you make. What happens when you make
That's what happens
love.
when you play games like Death Stranding.
No, that's not. That's what happens when you play games like Destiny 2.
Oh well, that does it too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, at least I'm willing to admit when a game does you wrong.
Death Stranding's game of the year, by the way. So
Oh,
B, I'm sorry, man.
We know it's gonna be that.
B, I didn't hear you, man. You know what? It could have been like when Forte was joining, maybe that something happened. I don't know, but I heard you say that you played Fallen Order a little bit. Forte, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can't hear B.
I can't hear him either.
Yeah. B.
Is he talking?
I don't know.
Recognize him talking.
He might be. He might need to sign back out, come back in. Because I can hear you. I can hear you fine, Forte. Hey B, if you can hear us, B, you might want to sign out and sign back in. B,
I'm good, man. I had something running in the background. I just had to shut it down. We should be good now.
Okay, cool.
We Gucci now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you played a little bit of Fallen Order then, right?
Yeah. I probably put in about like 2 hours into it, maybe 3.
I finished it. I beat it on Steam.
I just haven't gone back to it, man.
Yeah.
Really? Just haven't been feeling it past the intro, basically.
Yeah, I got to Second Planet and got through there, got through like the ball puzzle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, okay, I see what it is. Like everybody was hyping it up, like, is this amazing game? Like it's game of the year, and I'm just like, all right, throw it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a good game. I don't know if it's game of the year for me.
Well, you already decided what game of the year is for you.
Well, Death Stranding is my front runner right now, but I mean that could change. I mean, if I want to beat Fallen Order, I may say, hey, you know what? Maybe that's my game of the year, but no, I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's game of the year though yet. So, yeah, I'm sorry about my voice, everyone. Like I said, I sound worse than I feel. I just like have a sinus infection and ear infection. That's what happens when you have kids. So they bring home.
Yes.
You remember those days, Forte?
I do remember those days. Those days are still here.
So
cannot escape them.
Yeah, well, look, guys, we got a lot of exciting topics to talk about tonight. It's really cool. We celebrate the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation this week, and man, I'm not gonna lie, I remember like it was yesterday when I got my PlayStation, and it's funny, I got it at Sears, of all places. Yeah, they had like
Weird.
yeah, the Sears that I went to had this like they had like a game section, but it was like next to like the kids' clothes, so it was really
Mm-hmm.
weird. Yeah, it was like excuse me, it wasn't even an electronic section. It was like over the kids' clothes. So I remember picking Ridge Racer and what's the other game that launched with it? Was it Battle Arena or something? I don't remember. What's the name of that
Good.
game? You remember what it was, B?
Well, the game that I got that launched with it was Rayman. That
I
came out
did get.
I
Yep, I
said
got
same
Rayman.
day. And then
Yeah,
I got Ridge Racer like a couple weeks later. Yeah, I had to beg my mom for like a new game, but
yeah.
I had only had I only got Rayman when it first came out and fell in love with that game, man.
Such a good game.
Yeah,
Very underrated.
that was a really good game. Yeah. Now, Forte, did you pick up a PlayStation day
I
one when it
did.
launched?
Sure did.
Well,
It was a birth. It was a Christmas. Was it Christmas? Christmas gift. I think it was Christmas gift. I remember opening that thing, and Raymond was the game that I got with mines, and I don't remember my PlayStation 1 as much as I remember my PlayStation 2. Um, I was more of a Nintendo, way more Nintendo, but I was always the person that always ended up with every damn thing. So
yeah.
PlayStation was coming out. I said, "Mom, I want a PlayStation." Didn't even know what the hell it was. But I know I got Raymond on there, and I can't remember what else I got on there. I got like 2 or 3 games then, but I was super into NES and Sega and everything back then. And my biggest one for PlayStation was PS2 because I was working at Best Buy when that one released, and that's when they were forcing everybody to buy bundles of the system. Like you had to buy a memory card, you had to buy either an extra controller or one game with the system. And
I
I
remember
remember
that.
that was the last time I actually, no, it wasn't the last. I did it for the 360. Last time I camped out for a system myself. I did it for the 360 for my brother because he was an idiot and didn't pre-order his system, and I had to go out. He had to work that night. I had to go to Target and camp outside Target for him to get one, but mine was pre-ordered at the GameStop that I shopped at by my house, so I knew I was good. But PlayStation, man, I remember that was probably the funnest midnight overnight I've ever had. Like it was like I worked in the warehouse then, so I knew how many PlayStations we had, but I couldn't say it. And all I was trying to do is give people the clue, like, "Hey, man, I don't think they're gonna have enough to cover this many people," because it was like 176 PlayStations. And anytime someone came up and it was passed, I said, "Hey, you might want to go try somewhere else because I don't think we're gonna have enough here. I can't tell you how many we have. I can just tell you that I don't think you're gonna make it, bro." And we had people bring us pizza and stuff out that night. And the bad thing is I had to work that next day at 11 a.m. and I got my system at 8:55. Went home, played one game of Madden because that was the first year that the lights were out and they were promoting the stadium lighting in the game, and it was freaking incredible. And um that was the game I bought with mine that day. And PlayStation, man, people always give, like, that's why I don't understand the fanboy stuff, because we all came from somewhere. Like we all came from either an Atari background, a NES background, PlayStation or Sega, Neo Geo. I mean, everybody, no one started. You might have started with Nintendo and you might have kept with Nintendo, but most people have changed over the course of the years and stuff. So when I hear people talking all this nonsensical stuff about, "Oh, I'm a this fan and that fan," and yeah, as much as I love Microsoft just happened to be the game system that I stuck with because I was older.
Yeah.
And by the time that their games started coming out, I was just more into that type of stuff. But it's remarkable to think about where you actually started from when PlayStation and the whole situation with Nintendo, and how PlayStation may not have been a thing if Nintendo would have just let them do what they needed to do. It wouldn't have been a PlayStation 1. And all good things happen for a reason. I'm just happy that we have a healthy industry and PlayStation is at the forefront of that. And it looks like it's going to be the same thing going into next generation as well.
Yeah, what's interesting, man? You talk about like Nintendo and the whole PlayStation thing. Like they were partnering together, and then I forget what happened, but basically
I remember what happened. Hey, what's
I
up,
remember
guys?
it was a
it wasn't
what's
something
up,
to do
Slomo?
with wasn't it something to do with the like was it cartridge based versus what? I can't remember exactly, but
So Nintendo had contracted out a build for a system for with Sony, and Sony built them a system that was similar to the PlayStation, but didn't look exactly like it. They probably couldn't have used that exactly because it
Slomo,
was
wasn't it called the
essentially
PlayStation 2?
I,
Like
I
it,
don't know. I can't remember what it was called, but it was definitely something that was similar to what the PlayStation One looks like. But they couldn't use that exactly when they came out with their own because then that would have been like, I mean, that Nintendo pretty much paid for that and owned it. It's theirs. But
right.
Nintendo was not pleased with the format. It was going with CDs,
Yep.
and Nintendo at the time had all these factories. They were creating their own cartridges for their games. And so it would have been a huge windfall for Nintendo to switch. Although, if Nintendo was really being forward thinking, they would have realized that as
That
the
was coming.
times, this was coming. This was the format had to change. And they didn't like it and they kind of turned it down. So Sony had did all this work and it was like, well, hey, we we could just go launch with something similar to
Mm-hmm.
this,
yep.
and there you have it. They launched with it wasn't more powerful than Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 turned out to be a more powerful system, but you couldn't tell because the
No.
bottleneck to the system was the cartridge format, which really hindered developers from being able to take advantage of the better hardware. PlayStation 1 was a weaker system, yet it had a better format and allowed people to, like Square, to make, big, well, at the time, beautiful cutscenes in Final Fantasy 7. And,
Yes.
and it kind of just took away all of Nintendo's momentum because at the time from the time they entered the video game industry until that point they dominated. Like we all like Sega and all, but Sega never
Yeah.
outsold Nintendo.
Never.
The Nintendo, the Super, I mean the NES, Super Famicom, the Famicom, all that stuff always outsold the Sega Master System, the Genesis, the 32X, all of that stuff got outsold by it. It wasn't until Sony jumped in and really brought a different mentality because they were coming from I would say a more competitive markets and like Walkmans, all just other different industries and technology where you couldn't rest on your laurels and be stubborn the way Nintendo was being. And that was really that mentality really like rocketing them forward and getting all those like great games on their platform that weren't going to be on the Nintendo one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the one thing that I will say is Nintendo, I felt made a huge mistake back then, but of all companies, that's the one company that has reinvented itself. They kind of reinvented themselves without actually doing it. Like they did it in the way of making them finding them what to still be relevant. They still have pretty much the same IPs. They haven't really evolved on that front, but for a couple of new ones that they brought out over the course of a couple of generations, but they're pretty much the same. And I kind of it's very envious to know that they're basically the Disney of video games. Like they will always be relevant because as much as people when they look at Nintendo say, hey, I outgrew Nintendo, they will always have a fan base just because they're the people that loved it so much grow up and they know how great it is. It may not be for them anymore, but they understand that for their kids growing up, it would be a really good stepping stone just to get them into, gaming. Gaming is a very expensive hobby, and bringing them in on a lower entry point like Nintendo is more feasible because they have handhelds and stuff like that where they could just get, they can always be in gaming. And plus, we all know most parents don't like to, be parents. They just like to buy their kids stuff so they can leave them the hell alone. And that's the perfect system for a Nintendo person. So, but then it comes back to my one biggest regret of this whole thing is I miss the days of being able to go to my friend's house and when they, just play other systems and everybody not have the same thing, and you could just borrow games or borrow system from other friends that was down the street or around the corner from you. Before consoles were counted in sales, I mean, they were always counted in sales, but with the internet being as big and prevalent as it is, mainstream media reporting on as much as they do, that kind of just goes out the window. There were fanboy wars back then, but it really wasn't about the platform itself. It was about the games that came on there, like the whole Mortal Kombat, my game got blood, yours got green blood, all this other crazy stuff. That was there.
Sweat.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it was Sweat.
yeah, Sweat. That stuff was there, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And I just miss how I could just go to a friend's house, like he got a Genesis, I got an NES. I want to play his games. He want to play mine. I let him loan my system. It's no biggie, but times change, and I don't expect it ever to be like that ever again, because it will never be like that. But that's the one thing I do miss the most over the course of this 25-year journey since PlayStation has been a part of it, because I think that was the beginning of when they started doing this, and then when Xbox joined the party, it really ratcheted up, and then we ended up with PS3, 360 to where we are today.
I really think the difference between
it's a
what
wonderful world.
what Sony has done and what Microsoft is doing is that, I'm not trying to rag on Microsoft for those who think
Yeah,
I'm
you are
going to
slow
do
mo.
that. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're fear mongering.
But no, like what I want to say is that there is a level of consistency in the leadership that has happened in Sony up until recently. Like all these people who are leaving, when you hear about their resume, when you hear about what they've done in Sony and in Sony Interactive Entertainment, you're like, damn, this guy was here for 20 years. This guy was here for 18 years, 15 years. These people have been around for a really long time, long enough to make mistakes, realize the mistakes they made, and learn from them. What I saw with Microsoft is that they did a great job with the 360, but a lot of the people who started in the beginning with the 360 weren't the people who were there at the end launching Xbox One. And so it's just that not learning from the previous people who had success, and then trying to do your own thing, not because it's the right thing to do, but because, hey, look, I want to make my mark. Like that kind of mentality, I think, is what has kind of tripped Xbox up. Hopefully that's something that's not going to happen in the future.
And I'm going to tell you why you finally feel that way. Xbox is an American company. Americans, the one thing we always do, we always want to look for the next challenge. Being an American, you're always trying to look for the next challenge. When it came to Sony, those people are lifers. Those people stayed with Sony. They don't have to feel like they got to move to accomplish something else. They feel like they already accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They just want to stick around the company, do the things they need to do to help that company grow. And that's what you've seen with Sony. That's why people have been there 20 and 30 plus years when they decide to move on from the company. Compared to Microsoft, it's a stark difference between what we had with Ballmer and Bill Gates on the stage with an Xbox in his hand, and Peter Moore with the Halo tattoo on his arm, sitting on E3 stage saying November 9th. It's a completely different thing. And all these people, they didn't leave gaming. That's the thing you got to think about. With the exception of like the super top heavy part of Microsoft, which was the CEOs of it, all the people that were on stages from Microsoft all the way down to Peter Moore, they were still in gaming when Xbox One release. So they just felt like they wanted to do something else, because that's just the American way of thinking, not to stay one place too long so you can like spread your wings and do something else in another place. And I really think that has really hurt Microsoft over the course of the years, just because they haven't been consistent at being consistent, if that makes any sense to you. I mean, because I just feel like Xbox should be a way better brand, a more powerful brand than it is, in what is this, like almost, it'll be 20 years in 2 years. But the system is like kind of stagnant, and it's been stagnant for the better part of the last 7 years. And leadership's not going to change that, because the leadership and you got to think the way that we look at it now, everybody wants everything to happen right away. Things don't just, you can't, people are impatient. And it is not their fault, because you invest all this money into a platform, but you want to see the fruits of your labor, you want to see the return on investment, but it takes a while to do that, and people are not willing to wait for that. That's why you see all these different changes. That's why you see people out here saying Phil's a hack and all this other stuff, and he lied in this. When only the man, dude, things change. People change their mind in different things change in a corporate level. You're never going to know what happens behind closed doors, why things didn't happen the way they needed to happen. But this all stems from the fact that Microsoft hasn't been consistent, and it starts, like Slow-Mo said, with consistently at the leadership position. It's just been an up and down roller coaster over the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I think, look, I would say anyone. I'm not going to. I'm not insulting or saying, speaking ill of any of the people who used to work at Microsoft. But if your mentality is that, oh, I need to go ahead and make this next move because I feel like I already succeeded here, and that current generation isn't even over, you didn't succeed at all. Like you did, like you need to get to the point where I can understand if. And maybe this is just like the competitiveness in me as a business person when I used to work in a big time corporation. Like we were in the corporation I used to work in, the industry I used to work in, we were not the industry leader, but I was always competitive in the sense that when I came to work, I came to kill that competitor. And so when I left the industry, I didn't feel like I succeeded in that. Like, you just because I may have personally did a great job doesn't mean, like, I mean, overall the brand I worked for still didn't gain any traction, any ground, unless you are now the industry leader in that particular field. You have nothing to brag about. You have nothing to say that you've accomplished. So I'm not saying that's what exactly how they're feeling, but like you made that suggestion that maybe that was how they felt, and I feel like that's just a really poor mindset, and someone not really being engaged in the work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times though, when you see people move on or they feel like they've reached some sort of success, it's because they've taken smaller wins. You know what I mean? And they're not taking a bigger chunk out of the pie. You know what I mean? So I think for a lot of people, if you just look back at last generation, I'm sure a lot of, execs of Microsoft, that they felt like, we took a huge chunk out of what, Sony wanted to do. And yeah, Sony came back at the end of the generation, but, you know what I mean? They definitely had the mind share. They definitely, came out the gate ready to present a decent platform for people to play on. So, you got to take those small wins when you can and continue to build on them. I think, going into the next generation, which was, Xbox One, I think they might have just made too many changes and, you know what I mean, didn't really lay down the groundwork to have success with the Xbox One. But, if you just look at what they've done over the past 3 years, at Xbox now, I think, going into next generation, they've kind of laid that groundwork, and, they'll continue to have those small successes and, in order to get to that larger chunk of the pie.
Yeah, man. I would say this for Jim Ryan. I know everyone when he was announced to be heading up SIE. I know a lot of people were like, Jim Ryan, him. But
I
loved it.
I
Everybody
think
hated it, but I loved it.
I've been on the fence with it, but now I can say for certain that I like the moves he's making. I think he is positioning them to win next gen, and I think, like the comment he made this one comment like very 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 soon after he got elevated, and he said that the previous generation's winner ends up being the next generation's loser. And it's true. It's been that way for the past 15, 16 years. And so he's got, he said some buffoonish stuff in the past, but the dude's not an idiot, and he understands what he needs to do and what his role is and how to protect their lead. And protecting their lead isn't going into a shell, and it's not trying to, just do what you always did before and thinking that's always going to work. That's how so many industry leaders have failed. Look at Heckingers. You know what? Does anyone know what Heckingers is?
I do.
Yeah, they're not in business anymore, but they used to be with Home Depot. Ran them out of business pretty quickly. Blockbuster.
It was fast.
So many industries, like the video game industry is no different than anyone else. It's if you think that just because what you did in the past is always going to work, and it worked in 1996, it's going to work in 2020, 2022. No, it's not. It's not always going to be that way. And so you have to be forward thinking. And I think Jim Bryan has got them in a good direction for that.
Yeah, hey, kind of go back to real quick, guys. Go back to the topic of the PlayStation celebrating 25 years. But what you said, Slomo, isn't that kind of what Sony did with the original PlayStation, adding the CD? And I feel like the biggest impact I think the CD disc had, what I remember is I feel like it had a really big impact on sports games for the PlayStation. Like if you guys remember, what was the football game they had by 989 Studios?
Game Day.
Game Day.
Game Day. Yeah, I mean, you guys remember the audio when you fired up Game Day? You saw the two helmets come together. I mean, it was like watching at least for us at the time. It was like watching
hit somebody so hard the thunder came out.
I remember that, yeah. And it was like, but it was like watching. It's the first time we had that kind of level of detail in a sports game that felt like you're watching a sports broadcast on TV. And I just remember that and being blown away by it. But I also think with the PlayStation, I mean, we can't talk enough about Final Fantasy VII. You know, when that remaster's coming out now. I think the impact that had. Huh?
Full circle.
Yeah, I mean, and look at that. I mean, that game had a tremendous impact on the industry at the time, and I think kind of helped pave the way to the PlayStation establishing itself as a brand. And then, Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid. I mean, to me, it's one of the best games. Still one of the best games I've ever played. And just took 3D gaming just to another level. And it took advantage of what Sony had to put together with the PlayStation platform. And, from there, I mean, it was just 25 years later, here we are. And they pretty much have sold, how many, has each console sold 100 million? I don't think the PlayStation.
No, the PlayStation 3 sold 86.
Yeah, 86, 87.
All right, so
and that's the lowest one, and that's still higher than. Let me stop. I need to add that. I think it's the lowest one.
Leave Xbox out of it, man.
It's the lowest one. It's the lowest. It's the lowest.
I think it was 93 million, Slow-mo.
For the PS3.
Yeah, when it's all said and done.
No, I don't think either one.
I don't think it cracked 90 yet.
No, because the Switch, not the Switch, damn, the Wii. Yeah, the Wii was I knew they were nowhere near the Wii. I know that for a fact. But it's I recall that the PS3 beat the 360 very late in the game.
86.9.
Yeah, but it was only about 1.5 or 2 million that they beat the 360, but neither one of them made over 90.
86.9, you're right, dude.
Yeah.
But you look at so 86.9 PlayStation, the original PlayStation, 104 million. PlayStation 2,
it was 150,
157. It's still the top selling console of all time. And then PlayStation 4 is at what, 90 million now?
No, they're over 105 or something like that. I think 104, somewhere in there. I don't think PlayStation 4 is going to catch PS2.
I don't think so either.
I think it'll probably end at 115, 120.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I think it's going to taper off very quickly when the PS5 comes out due to, backwards compatibility. What's the purpose of even keeping the PS4 at this point, or even buying one when you can get a PS5 and play all those games?
Yeah, but you also got to think about all those markets where those systems cost way more. You know what I mean? Like
South America.
Yeah, South America and New Zealand and shit like that. Where
even Canada
consoles are $5,000 out of the gate. So once they get down to that, that 149 consistently or $99 or something like that, then that's where they see that extra boost. So
yeah, that second win,
yeah. But I gotta say, guys, even 25 years later, I mean, geez, I was 17. That's fucking crazy. I was 17 when the
25
first
years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago, I was 15.
Yeah, so I mean, Forte. I mean, dude. I mean, 25 years, and blink of an eye, and they're still here in the game, and they're still dominant. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive. I mean, not to take anything away from Nintendo either, but since the topic's Sony celebrating 25 years of greatness, it's pretty impressive. I mean, that they've, even if they're worse, they've still done pretty well. With the PlayStation 3. But let me ask you guys something. Like, out of all what are your most, like, if you had to say your top 3 PlayStation 1 games were, what would you say your top 3 are? I'll go with you, B. Start with you first.
Top 3. Metal Gear Solid's definitely up there. I'll have to throw Rayman in there just because that was the first one. And then I probably have to go with Tekken, man, because that's where I found my love of Tekken. So
yes,
I'll go with those 3 right there.
It's a good list, man. Tekken was solid, man, on PlayStation. Yeah. What about you, Forte?
Resident Evil, because that game
Yes.
scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
I can't get away from Resident Evil. Final Fantasy 7, because that was my first Final Fantasy, and it made my love for Final Fantasy grow because I went back and played every Final Fantasy after I played that one. And man, I love Silent Hill. That's what I was so into horror. I can't even fathom how much I love horror back then, how much I don't too much care for it now. But I love Silent Hill and Castlevania Symphony of the Nights. I have to put that up there because I love that game too. It's so many games on PlayStation that I love. Metal Gear was up there. Soul Reaver was up there.
Man, Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver was up there. Tekken 3, man. My love for Tekken in the arcade came from Tekken 3. Man, I can't even really think about.
Oh man,
that library.
All the PlayStation classics, man. Once the PlayStation classics came,
man,
so many great games.
Man. I remember what games I played. I just can't remember the ones I bought day one. It's a bunch of games on PlayStation that I like.
The ones that you could think about are the ones that really had a lasting impression on you 25 years later.
Exactly. That's the ones that really hit that spot for me.
For me, it was all RPGs. Final Fantasy 7, but also Final Fantasy Tactics. That was the first. It was the first RPG with the strategy RPG I had ever played, and I was just like, that story was just amazing. I was hooked on it. And Nate just mentioned the one I was about to say, Xenogears. I love Xenogears.
Yeah.
That game Xenogears is amazing. It's a classic.
Xenogears good. Vagrant Story solid.
It's classic.
Yeah, Suikoden 2 was actually Suikoden 2 was actually solid. I didn't like Suikoden 3 as much, but Suikoden 2 was actually solid. I love
the combat system in Xenogears. It was innovative for its time.
Yeah,
it was really good. Like it wasn't like the typical RPGs of the time, which were all turn based.
Yeah,
so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would say my top 3: Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, and I'm gonna go with Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Twisted Metal had a blast playing. I just had a blast.
And everybody else.
Yeah. So, but you're right. There's so many like solid games I could go and name a couple others. Like Siphon Filter was another favorite of mine.
Good old Siphon Filter, man. I still want Sony to bring that back.
I do too, honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to see that come back, but who knows? Who knows if they ever will?
Hey, look, Guerrilla Games is making a multiplayer game. I think if it ever did come back, it would be a multiplayer game for certain.
They got like one of the main guys behind Rainbow Six to come over and help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the later games have multiplayer in it. It wasn't like online or anything, but they definitely had like multiplayer aspects of the games, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, what were some other classic games? I feel like we're missing a bunch. God, what else?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, Vagrant Story, which Nate mentioned. The sports games I keep going back to. The football game.
Game Day.
Yeah, Game Day. So
Game Day, NHL Face Off,
Yes.
NBA Shootout.
NBA
Yeah.
Shootout, man. Jesus.
Yeah, man. I was in heaven playing those games back in the day, man. The NBA Jams of the world, you know what I mean? You got all the arcade wrestling games, WWE or WWF in the house. Oh man, I used to have so much fun.
yeah, like Forte said, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night was awesome. Silent
Yeah.
Hill, Soul Reaver. I mean, what about Gran Turismo?
Yeah, Gran
Oh,
Turismo.
dude. That game made me realize how I was not ready to drive.
Ooh, how about yeah, right, guys? How about Chrono Cross?
Classic, man.
Classic.
No, not
Oh,
Chrono Cross.
I know you're a Chrono Trigger fan.
Yeah, and that's why I hate Chrono Cross, because they look. This is what they did. This is what they did. They was like, this game is nonsensical, but it's a pretty cool RPG system with a pretty cool battle system. But I don't think anyone's going to buy this. Let's pretend it's a Chrono Trigger sequel, and let's have the devs throw in some very small Chrono Trigger references that barely make any sense and are barely there, and then we'll say it's Chrono Cross the sequel.
Slow-mo's his move.
That is exactly what they
Come on,
did.
Slow-mo.
No. What? I'm not telling no lies. The only reference to Chrono Trigger is that the one kid and one character in Chrono Cross was quote unquote raised by Luna. I think her name is Luna, the tech chick from Chrono Trigger. That's it. She had an orphanage, and then and then it burned down. She's dead, and everybody's dead. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, that game was doo. I was mad.
Man, y'all done got slow-mo riled up, man.
Yeah, slow-mo.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to, but Chrono Cross is a trigger word for me. So I lost it for a second. Everything went red. My blood pressure is up. I'm sweating right now. I apologize. Y'all go ahead and continue, man. My bad.
All right. What about Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Another great game on PlayStation. What else? What about Driver? You guys remember Driver?
I do remember Driver.
I wanted to bring Driver back so much.
Driver was cool.
Yeah, Driver was cool. Obviously Crash Bandicoot.
Yes. Well, they already kind of brought that back, but
yeah,
man, they could do so much with like Driver and the Getaway today, man. If they actually brought those games back, oh my goodness.
What about Tenchu? Remember Tenchu?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The original stealth game.
Yes, the original stealth game. God, that game is so good. I feel like those are the ones that Final Fantasy VIII, which I like Final Fantasy VII better.
I like Final Fantasy. I think 6 was the best.
6 is the best. They need to go ahead and just announce that remake.
6
yeah, it is.
Best.
6 is the best one by far.
When that remake comes, I'm there day one.
I'm there day zero. I want to help him make it. Shit.
Kefka might be the best antagonist.
No. Do you remember the dialogue?
I don't remember.
I have 6 on my
you think
on my iPad.
You think
I got it on my iPad too.
Because I feel like usually people when they think of like the antagonist in Final Fantasy, they always go to Sephiroth, you know?
Yeah, because Sephiroth is so cool looking, but Sephiroth he's barely in the game, and his I mean, he's got like mommy issues. If you really look into what Sephiroth is really upset about, you're just like,
issues.
Come on, dude, like just get over it, man. Get a therapist. Like, what are you so upset about? But Kefka is just like comically evil for no reason. Like every other word is just ha 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 ha, and it's
he's like the Joker.
If the Joker was not cool, yeah, I don't know. Like,
So he's an uncool Joker.
Yeah,
He also committed mass genocide or something.
Yes, he did. He did
Yeah.
poison an entire people.
Yeah. For
and
shits and giggles.
Yeah. He's a legit evil bastard. But
No, he is.
I just the dialogue for him is so, I think, off. But I do love. There's still Final Fantasy VI is still, I believe, the best Final Fantasy. The characters are great. I love Locke. Locke is like, Locke is just such an amazing character. Like he's my favorite, even though having him in battle was a negative. But I love how they had like different systems for different characters. And that, remember Sabin had that whole martial arts style that you could use, and it was like you had to learn it. It was like playing a fighting game. Like he had to learn what his moves were. And then his brother Edgar was his brother, I think.
I don't remember. I think it was. It sounds right.
But yeah, his brother was the prince, and he had all those like technology guns and crossbows and weapons, and it was like everyone had their own thing, and it was just a great story, great game. That's back when Square was in there. Like everything they came out with was fire. It was amazing.
Oh my god, yeah! Square was just everything they released was fire. You're right, man. You know what other game I remember too is what's the Insomniac game? The first Insomniac game, Spyro.
Spyro was the first game.
Yeah, that's one game that I remember that I played that I enjoyed. And here we are now. Insomniac's part of Sony first party. So, trying to think. I think those are to me those are the most memorable PlayStation games. There's probably other ones that I'm not thinking of. Dino Crisis.
There's a lot. There's a lot that we're not thinking of.
Yeah, I just thought of Dino Crisis, but yeah, I mean, it was a very that system was loaded with some really great games, and definitely one of my favorite consoles of all time. So, cheers to Sony for 25 years of greatness. Salute, and I'm looking forward to see what they do with the PlayStation 5 next year. So, on that note, because I can't talk, since we're talking about Resident Evil, looks like we have some leaked images of the Resident Evil 3 remake, which I think we pretty much all speculated that this was like the next game that Capcom was going to do after the success of the remake of Resident Evil 2. What do you guys think about this? You guys excited about Resident Evil 3, the remake?
I'd rather see a newer Resident Evil, but I mean, me personally, I'd rather see newer games than remakes of older games, even knowing I know they're going to do a really good job, because I think the template is in place from Resident Evil 2 to bring up Resident Evil 3, because they don't really have to do too much on the technical side. They just got to build the game and refine the controls like they did with RE2. So I don't think it'll be a huge undertaking. So I am looking forward to it, but I'd rather see the next Resident Evil. I'd rather see them make another game in VR. I want to see Resident Evil 8 in VR. Now, if they say they can add Resident Evil 3 and add VR to it, then I'm like, that's something new. That's something they can add to the game that nobody's played before. And I felt like that was a missed opportunity with RE2. So now that they don't have as much development time on RE3, if that is the case, and they could add something like that to it, or some different way of playing the game on the PlayStation platform or wherever they want to play it at, I think that would be a really good thing. But outside of that, them doing something new and different to the game, I'd rather see a new Resident Evil game, period.
I'm not a Resident Evil fan, as you guys know, but honestly,
you're a Parasite Eve fan.
No, I'm not a fan of that one either.
Hold on, what is he? What is he a fan of?
Parasite Eve.
Oh my goodness.
But Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is the only Resident Evil that I've actually completed. So I will say that, and I enjoy that game. I think when Resident Evil 2 remake came out and it was received so well, it was so well done. I was like, they got to do Nemesis now. They got to.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, Capcom is big enough where they can be able to make this game and make a Resident Evil 8 at the same time. They that should be in the works. And they're very tight-lipped on things, so we're not going to know really until they want us to know. So, but I'm not going to play this game because I just you know who I am. I'm not into the getting scared kind of stuff.
You like Enrique, man?
I'm worse than Enrique, man. Enrique has completed Resident Evil games. Like I said, I completed Nemesis. One reason I completed it, I can't remember when I did that. I think I was in college, and one reason I completed it because my roommate was there. We were sharing the controller.
Oh, that's funny.
Gotta
get your wife involved in this, man. Have her sit on the couch next to you.
Nah, she ain't looking. She definitely ain't getting involved with this one. But no, I mean, like I'm happy for that they're coming out with this because I think it's the best Resident Evil. And that's not just because it's the only one I completed, but I think it's the best one. And I think a lot of Resident Evil fans are really going to enjoy it, especially if it's of the same quality and they really put all in on the remake like they did the last one. I think it's going to be amazing. So, yeah,
I'm pretty excited about it. 3 is my favorite of like the first like 5 or 6 games or whatever. So I'm pretty excited that they're doing it. But kind of like Forte said, I hope this isn't like a continued trend where they just remake like 4 and 5 and 6, before we get to 8. So hopefully, they do this and hopefully do Code Veronica and then kind of cut it off right there because they've released 4, 5, and 6 like 20 times or whatever over and over.
Yeah, they have.
Need a remake of those games, but hopefully, they're gearing up for Resident Evil 8 to, drop like next gen, and that's probably why they're not talking about it because we're at the like tail end of the generation. So hopefully, the rumors are that this comes out sometime early 2020. So that kind of makes sense. Kind of get this out there before we get into next generation. Give it a whole year, and then once next gen starts, maybe 2021, start talking about Resident Evil 8. So.
Yeah, do you think this sets up Resident Evil 8B? Like, do you see them like going to that game after 3?
They might do Code Veronica first.
Yeah.
Especially if they, can continue with this cadence of like, pumping it out rather quickly. Because I think they said, or it's rumored that they've been working on this before they even were working on the remake for 2.
Oh, wow.
So if that is true, then I'm sure they have a team who's doing Code Veronica right now. And if this comes out in 2020, maybe this comes out, or Code Veronica comes out 2021, and then maybe 2022, we get Resident Evil 8, which, I think would be perfectly fine, especially since they have so much other stuff going on with Capcom. I'm sure they'll continue to support Monster Hunter, or if not, release a second game, or the continued game in that series. So Capcom's definitely bounced back over the past couple of years. So you got to tip your hat to them.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to see I almost called him Comcast. Jesus.
Comcast.
Yeah, Capcom. Yeah. Hey,
imagine them making games.
Slimmo, you know some guy at Best Buy tried to tell me?
What's that?
That people complain about Fios, that they like Comcast better. I'm like, no one's ever said that.
No, that's not true.
That's a dude. I said, stop. I said, stop there, Mr. Best Buy employee. No one has ever said that. Come on.
One of my best friends works for them, and even he says Verizon's better. I mean, he works for them. Come on, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're terrible. By the way, Slimmo, you know what? I think the wireless connection was knocking with the pods, was knocking my computer off the network. Remember the issues I was having? Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell you. I told you this weeks ago. You should just go wired, but you wouldn't listen to me until yesterday. But hey, at least we finally got it resolved, and you're all set.
Yeah, but it's funny, man. Like that was the best way to go, man. I'm getting better speed. So, But yeah, I thought that was funny. I thought I'd tell you that. Irrelevant Native says dial-up's better than fiber. All right, so sorry guys, but I'm telling you, I sound worse than I feel. I really do. So
that's good.
Yeah, no. So guys, we have some Xbox news to talk about. I want to talk about some Xbox related things that have come out. One, Master Chief Collection just recently launched on PC yesterday, and I downloaded it on PC. It's most popular game on Steam right now, which I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Halo. It's the first time the whole collection's been on Steam. Halo 1 and Halo 2 have previously been on Steam, but not the entire collection. And I got it through Game Pass. I'm not gonna go. I mean, that's silly. Like, why would I go to Steam, right? But I got it through Game Pass, and I had some issues downloading the game. One, like I had to download it twice because I kept getting an error message with the download. And it just said error. It wouldn't tell me what it was. I had to report it to Microsoft. And then when I finally got the download, I tried to launch Reach, and it wouldn't launch from the Game Pass. And I was like, what the? And I kept trying to do it, and it wouldn't launch from Game Pass. So I had to launch it from the start menu. Now, like once I launched it, like it worked fine. But I guess my point is, like, and this is kind of a minor pet peeve, but I feel like this is
Ain't
your
no minor to this.
This is your crown. This is your crown jewel. This is your Mario, Microsoft, right? Halo is your biggest franchise. Well, that's debatable now. Well, no, probably still. I would say it's still.
No, it's still their biggest.
Yeah, it's still their biggest. You're right. I would say, is it their best? That's debatable. But I will say this: like I was disappointed by the trouble, the issues that the game had, the fact that it wasn't working on Game Pass, and I did hear some people on having some issues on Xbox. I think even Boom, I think this afternoon, Forte, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said he had on his show today, I think he said that he had some issues, right? On the Xbox.
Did.
So
Sure did.
This is your crown jewel. And I think Boom mentioned this too. You gotta show off. You gotta deliver the goods. You gotta show up. And this is my frustration with. Now I know that 343 got some help with this game, with Reach and everything, and Master Chief Collection going to PC. I know that I forget the names of the two other developers, but even though it wasn't 343, they're still involved in the process. They're supervising things. I just don't like the way the game launched on PC with some of the issues, and I feel like it's just like another thing to pile on top of, the things that Microsoft has done this console generation, some of the challenges they have. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one thing you don't need, especially when this is your crown jewel. I felt like this could have been rolled out a little bit better because I talked to people that were like, yeah, I can't get Reach to work, and you know what? I'm done trying. I'm gonna go play something else. And I think did you have that experience, Forte, where you like, I don't know if it was you or Slow-Mo but I talked to a couple other people.
I know Slow-Mo at 7:50 said he finally got in.
I thought he said that at 1:30 in the morning.
It was like 11:15 in the morning. He said it.
Yeah,
Look,
okay.
I'm gonna tell you. So my experience with Halo Reach. You wanna know what my experience was? I didn't even try. You know why I didn't try? Because I saw everybody on my friends list or everybody on Twitter saying I can't launch this game. I was watching people on streams having issues either disconnecting from the game or not really disconnecting, but disconnecting from the server when it comes to Xbox Game Pass or having troubles installing it on Steam. Once you got into the game, you were fine. It was getting into the game, which was the problem. And right when I was installing in Enrique, I was installing the game, and I got that same error that you got on Xbox on Game Pass. My brother called me and fixed his. He figured it out how to get around it, and I didn't even ask him how he did it. I'll figure it out sooner or later. But I instantly went back to 2013, 2014 when Master Chief Collection came out, and I was at my wit's end with Destiny, and I was like, I'm leaving Destiny when Halo Master Chief Collection comes out because I just want to play. I want to play something like Halo, and Destiny was the closest thing I got to it at that point. And when that game wet the bed, I was like, I'm done. I'm going back to Destiny, and I never looked back. And I looked at this game, and I told this story a while ago. I said Halo needs to capture what people love the most about it. And that's why I said Xbox had a really good opportunity to make a really huge change next generation with the launch of Halo Infinite, especially when it comes to PC. Like, if you look at it, like I'm looking at the Steam numbers right now, it's number 4 on Steam behind Dota, Counter-Strike, and PlayerUnknown's Battleground. And then it's Halo, then right after that is Destiny. Halo has 123,000 people playing it on PC right now. And that's with issues and people not being able to launch the game. And that's not even everybody, because probably the majority of the player base that's playing the game is playing it on Game Pass for $1 right now.
No one who's playing it on Steam had any of these issues. All these issues stem from the Microsoft store.
That's my point. But this is
what's just the biggest problem. And that's the biggest thing. So your server is letting people not get into the game. And I have a problem with this because in order for you to take back the reign that you want them, that you need to take back, Halo needs to be flawless. You can't have this type of execution around a game that has code that's over 10 years old in it. Like you should know the ins and outs of the networking of everything when it comes to this game, because this game is nothing new. This isn't a new engine that you're doing. You basically just rebuilt the game with better graphics and 4K textures. And you're telling me that you're still having network issues, and it's tied to a game that had network issues when it came out? I thought we were past all this. No, man, they can keep this. As much as I want to jump in and play this game day one, and I want to play now, I'm at a point now where I'm like, wake me up when Infinite comes out. And if Infinite comes out and it has any type of situation like this, I'm done with Halo. Because at this point, what are we celebrating? Are we celebrating mediocrity?
You know it will. You know it's going to have issues.
It does. And guess what? I'll play something else, because at this point, Halo, we're championing, we're holding on to the vision of a game that's not the game anymore. This game hasn't been what we wanted to be in over 5-6 years. And now you're just bringing out another version of the game in a worse state than it was when it launched. And I don't get that. I just don't understand the thought process that, why would you even, you don't play test this? You didn't know on your own freaking server that the game wasn't going to launch for 90% of the people that got into Game Pass? But guess what? The people that bought it for free, paid full price on Steam, they can get in, no questions asked. That's just a bad look to me. No wonder nobody wants to play on your crappy servers. And I thought Game Pass was supposed to be something completely different because it's not attached to the Windows Online store. But it is what it is, man. Somebody else go ahead, because this makes my head hurt just thinking about this.
Forte, let me ask you something. Like, you talked about optics. Like, I think that's important. Like, don't you think like that's like, because like I said, this is our crown jewel. To me, it's frustrating because they do other things so good. Like I'm doing like the beta for xCloud, and xCloud works awesome, right? But then you have something like this, and I'm like, what the fuck? On one hand, we have xCloud that works great. I think it works great, at least. My experience has been that it's been good. And then you have this, your crown jewel, and it doesn't work out on the platform that you've been out there, taunting about. You've been out there talking about.
This is the problem. I'm not going to blame Okay, so Microsoft has to take blame for this because they own 343. I don't want to blame Microsoft for this, because overall, 343 is what the problem is. The people at 343 do not know what the heck they're doing. It comes down to that for me at this point. They are inept at the top. Bonnie Ross, I'm not saying that she needs to. I don't know. I don't know. At this point, I don't want to say rash things about somebody because I don't want people to lose their jobs and stuff like that. That's not what I want. But Halo has been inept for the last 3 games. And then you have network issues on top of that. That's not Microsoft's the actual Microsoft's fault. We know they have the servers. We know they have the capability of bringing stuff like this to market and then not have issues. It's the development house that's not doing their checks and balances to make sure a game is ready to go before they release it.
Slow-mo, you don't think this is a Microsoft problem? Because look at Gears. Gears 5 launched. Everyone who reviewed it didn't have issues. Once the game went public, there was all these issues, and I think there's still issues with the game.
Yo, this is 343, man.
It's 343.
Yo, I'm all for, yeah. If anyone wants to say I blame Microsoft for this because they're over it, I mean, okay, but like we know how hands off they are with their studios. Like they are all the way off. Like
Slow-mo,
it's like bad parenting 101 when the kids just do whatever. Right?
I want to interrupt you real quick because you have been beating that drum a long time now, man.
Yeah,
and you know what?
All the evidence keeps pointing I'm right.
Slow-mo, I'm starting to think. When you first said, I was like, Slow-mo did, But now I'm like, now that you say that, and we've seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, we've seen these passion projects. We've seen, Gears 5 with some launch issues. We're seeing now Reach and Halo Master Chief Collection on PC, on Game Pass, more specifically having issues. I'm starting to I don't want to say that there's something there, Slow-mo, but dude, you might be onto something maybe.
An old-ass game is having issues with networking. When the game released it, when that game released, what was it, 2011? 2011. When that game released on Xbox 360, that game was flawless at release. It had no issues whatsoever when Bungie had it. And guess what? The only thing we hated about that game was armor lock. Well, it's some other things, but armor lock was the biggest thing. But outside of that, the game was perfect.
It was Slow-mo.
By far one of the best Halo. One of the best Halo campaigns, was super underrated, and it was the only one that did anything really well that didn't have Master Chief tied to it. And the multiplayer outside of Armor Lock was amazing.
But
and then we got Firefight with it.
Forte. I'm sorry, I keep calling you Slow-mo, Forte, but who made that game?
Bungie.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's why I say it's 343. They're the common denominator. That's the problem here.
Is 343 just a cover band for Bungie?
They've been a cover band for Bungie. They haven't done anything to actually outsell or outdo anything Bungie has done with Halo since. They can't even make the games that Bungie made better by just putting a better coat of paint on them.
Look, I finally got the game to work. I uninstalled and reinstalled the game 3 times, still wouldn't work. I looked online, people were saying try to start from the start menu and all this stuff, and this is not just on PC. People were having issues on Xbox getting this game to start on Xbox. So it's not just hey, PC gaming. No, it's not even just that. It's like literally the only way to play it with no issues was to buy it on Steam. It's ridiculous. But I finally got it to work and now literally right now the only way it works, I tried it a little bit earlier, is if I go into GeForce Experience
and launch it from there.
That's the only way it works.
Slow-mo. I tried doing that today. Like, because you said launch it from the NVIDIA GeForce Experience. Yeah. And it wouldn't launch for me.
See, and look, it's a different solution. Like there are people who are saying it only works for me if I go into start menu and type in Master Chief Collection, it pops up and I hit and I open it from there. There are other people. Why is it a different way to play this game for literally, it seems like everyone who's playing it? And I'm not trying to be completely bad, but the game runs well when you play it. Like I talked with Enrique, it was like, make sure you have it unlocked for frames per second. I'm playing it at 144 frames per second, and it's awesome. And it's
pretty much locked at 144 too.
Yeah, it's awesome. But the problem is, a lot of people can't see that because they can't play the game. And even before then, I was somewhat disappointed. I guess I kind of figured this was going to happen when I saw the spec, like the minimum and recommended specs needed to play the game. And I was like, oh, that's pretty generous. That's pretty That's not bad at all. Okay.
No.
But I was expecting a increase in quality the way they did for the rest of the Master Chief Collection when they did that 4K patch. But when I saw the game, I'm like, oh, this is literally just a 4K res and resolution. There's nothing else done to this game. It's which is okay. It looks all right and all, and it runs well. It's just all these other issues getting it to start. Like this is, and I don't want to rag too hard on 343, but we just gotta be honest here. 343 has not delivered a complete Halo game yet. They have not delivered that yet. And how long has 343 been around? Since when? 2009?
Yeah, roughly, I think.
Yeah, roughly.
We got Halo 4 that had a really good campaign and the worst multiplayer in the entire Halo franchise. Then they followed that up by having Halo Guardians with terrible campaign and really good multiplayer. When are you going to put it all together? And Halo Infinite, and I've seen people say this online, that Halo Infinite is the last hurrah when it comes to how they feel about 343. If you don't nail it now, it's a wrap. They need to give the Halo franchise to somebody else. Period. Like beg Bungie to do it.
Just kill Master Chief.
No, killing Master Chief isn't going to fix the fact the game's probably not going to start. You know, like it's not going to change anything. Like you need to make some head to toe changes. Bonnie Ross got to fall on her sword or something. Something has to happen if this game isn't what people expect it to be. And what people expect it to be is a game that's worthy of being a part of the Halo series. It used to be a point in time where Halo was considered the pinnacle. Like when a Halo game was coming out, you knew it was going to be quality. There was no, like the way people feel about Naughty Dog games right now. When a Naughty Dog game comes out, you already know how people feel about The Last of Us 2 right now. There is no doubt that this game isn't going to be nothing short of excellent. That's how Halo games used to be considered. Used to be. 343 has tarnished that image. And quite frankly, as someone who grew up as a Halo fan, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of dealing with this nonsense. You either get it right, or someone else needs to take this franchise and actually bring it back to where it needs to be.
Slow mode. Is it the case that like you, Forte, B Muddy, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have that reference of, like you said, when Halo came out, you knew it was the real deal. When Halo 1, Halo 2 came out, Halo 3, I mean those were big. Reach, ODST, I mean those were big deals in the gaming industry. And not that Halo isn't a big deal still, but it was just different back then. You know
what else? This might be a segue into another topic. I don't know if you want to get into this yet, but what really makes me laugh is that with everything I've been dealing with Halo Reach in the past 2 days, and then Jason Schreier drops the news that
we're gonna talk about that.
It's still a thing.
We're gonna talk about that.
And it's like, so
we'll
you
there.
Can't even the current.
Hold the thought, man. We'll get there.
I'm just saying, like, it's ridiculous. Okay.
No, it's able, like, I feel like for us, I mean, I wonder, have we outgrown Halo? Maybe because we've lived through that its glory years, and there's so many other games that have come out now since then. I mean, and you have people that are newer to the series. I mean, has the time passed us for Halo, you think? And maybe that's kind of way we feel the way we do.
All games have to evolve, and I've said this many times. I made a video about it. Halo needs to evolve. Like whatever Halo Infinite is, it needs to be a more modern version of what we enjoyed. No, not killing Master Chief, but a more modern version of what we enjoyed from Halo, but just in 2020, and with just like how. and Enrique, you played the game. When you first got into Halo Reach, you just like, yo, I forgot the controls were like this. And you went into the menu, changed it up to the zoom and shoot, which is your traditional first person shooter controls of today. Like things change. And so they have to change with the times a little bit more than just controls and gameplay mechanics and how the game plays. Still keep awesome AI that's smart and will flank you and all that other stuff that people really enjoy about the Halo campaign. Still keep the great multiplayer, but you have to get it. I'm not saying make Destiny, but what I'm saying is that you have to look at what people enjoy in multiplayer and first person shooters today, and not necessarily steal those ideas, but come up with your own idea that's similar to what other people are doing, but similar in the sense that it has a addictive gameplay loop that people enjoy. Right now, there are people who feel Halo's dated. They don't want to play that no more.
Yeah.
And then there are also younger generations who's like, yo, I'm not playing that. And yeah, they're playing Fortnite, which is like, nowhere near as intricate of a game. But I'm not saying have the Master Chief start doing, Fortnite dances and doing emotes, but you have to start implementing some things that work in today in order to get this game to be successful.
And, hey, I want to wrap in B real quick because I know B, you experienced the first Halo and 2 and 3, ODST, Reach when it first came out. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I actually haven't tried to fire up the remaster yet, just because I knew like it was gonna be insane. Like the first couple of days, everybody's gonna be on it. But I think it's it's just kind of ridiculous that games don't work out of the gate. This game is 10 years old, and it should be ready to go. Like Forte was saying, they definitely should have play tested the game, and they stumbled out of the gate with the Master Chief Collection. You would think that they would learn some lessons and say, hey, we're making a big deal out of this. It's finally coming to PC. We're remastering it. We've made our fans wait this long. Let's make sure it's A1 out of the gate. So hopefully, going into Infinite is something that they realize, and they putting everybody on the team behind it, the whole 500 people or whatever the hell they got going on at that studio.
Like 600 actually.
Yes, 600 people
600
working
people.
on it.
600 clueless individuals had it when it comes to netcode for a game.
Oh man,
that game better be. It got to be A1 day one when it releases. If it ain't, no excuses, man. No excuses.
I'm just hurt right now. Trust me, I know it ain't what I said, but
all 600 aren't working on Halo Infinite.
No, they're not. They're not. It's just, for me, it's like if this was just if this was just Reach by itself, fine. But it's like a lot of people were like me and turned off Master Chief Collection because of this same exact issue 6 years ago. People did it. And now you're bringing a game into the collection that's having the same issue. And I'm sorry, the game is attached to this collection. So when people see this, Master Chief Collection still broken because people can't even launch the freaking game that they just launched into the as part of the service. And I just don't get that. It's like I saw the writing on the wall when a whole bunch of YouTube, because I follow a lot of YouTubers that play Halo, and they've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, saying we think they should delay the game. It feels like they're pushing this a little early because they want to get it out before Christmas and all this other stuff. We feel like this should be, they kept saying that the game will be ready when it's ready, and all of a sudden the game wasn't ready, but they're bringing it out and they have a release date for it. This game should not be out right now. I don't care. I mean, yes, the game is not having issues on Steam. Fine. But it shouldn't have came out in Game Pass day and date if that's the case. I don't care. People could have got upset and said, hey, another exclusive went to Steam and Xbox people didn't get it. But unfortunately, if the game's not going to work on the platform that it was built on, why are you releasing it on there? That's just not a good look to me. And I'm sorry, more people are going to try to log in and play this on console than on PC. And PC got a pretty big amount of people playing it right now. So those people are probably turned off from it now. And they probably said, "Oh, I hear all these good things about this game. Oh, well, it's not working, so I'll just move on to something else like Fortnite or go back and play Destiny." And that just sets a precedence of what's going to happen when the next Halo comes out. Because right now, Halo is more known for not working on day one than actually playing the game, and that's a problem.
You know, I want to just say this real quick, and it has really just occurred to me, and it kind of goes back to the point of these studios do their own thing. Turn 10 and Playground actually said, yeah, we're not doing another Forza Motorsport and Forza for Horizon on our usual schedule because we want to, like, their last entries were very good, but they were almost no different than the previous version. It was too samey. They know, they recognized that. They took that feedback and they said, you know what, we're not going to launch another one until it's definitely a game that stands on its own and has a difference from the previous game. That's smart. That's definitely taking care of your brand and making sure your brand is always pushing forward, always doing better, not just resting on his laurels. Yeah, your two racers are the two best racers in gaming. That is saying, you know what, we can't, if we continue the way we're going, we're not going to be the two best racers 5 years from now. Let's make changes. And if that means that we don't come out when we usually would come out, it doesn't mean we don't drop another game until 2021. So be it. That's a complete difference than 343. Where I'm not saying because we've been waiting on the next Halo game for what, 5 years now, but we need to see something different in Halo for it to really have the impact in gaming that it used to have. And yeah, like the way this is going, it looks like that's not going to be it.
I just don't think it's going to have that same impact just because there are so many other games. And I think just the resurgence of like other genres lately have taken people away from like playing first person shooters. Call of Duty is still big like every year. But if you look at, like the Division, like that died off like super quick this year. You know what I mean? A lot of other shooters kind of died off, even, with Destiny coming out with its different expansions and stuff like that. It's definitely not as huge as it once was. So I think, just the rise in genres and different games that people are talking about on social media, it's taking people away from those games. And
that's a good point,
when you got games like Fortnite and PUBG, games like that where people will constantly play those all the time, they don't, feel the need to play a game like Halo or, the Division and things like that. They can find satisfaction playing the games that a lot of people are playing. So,
well, I do agree with you, B, but I would say in regards to the Division, that was a self-inflicted wound. They did not listen to their community at all, and yeah. I mean, like that stream this morning,
they fell for grace.
Wow. I mean, look, what they said on that stream was in response to me in the chat going at them. I was in because it was the first time they did a State of the Game stream where they actually had turned the chat on. For the past couple ones, they had turned the chat off because it was pretty bad. And they weren't able to answer questions. They were told not to answer a lot of the questions people were saying. Finally, they got candid this morning and decided to answer questions. And I said, yo, where are we getting a survival mode with Division 2? Like, we need, like, if just let us know, yes or no, if that's going to happen. And then they said, yeah, we have no plans for that or Underground. I'm like, so what are you doing? So what are you working on exactly? And they're just like, oh, we're working on some things. We just can't talk about it right now. What incentive do you give people to play your game? Really? There's nothing to do in it right now. They came out with they announced they're doing a hardcore mode, which is essentially you start a brand new agent and you play the game from the very beginning, and if you die, that agent is dead permadeath forever.
Oh, permadeath. Oh, whatever.
So how easy is that to implement? That's literally the same game you already have, except you just delete my character when I die. I mean, I could have coded that for you. Is this all we got here? Like,
that doesn't sound like that doesn't sound very creative.
Yo, it's just like, why would you already had creative modes in the first game. Those weren't the problem with your first game. Why not have that in the second? I just don't understand these developers, man.
It's hard making a game as a service, man. That's one thing people don't realize. It's, all these different games. Like, we look at Bungie, we look at Digital Extreme, and we say that that's the poster child of what you do when it comes to making a game with service. And it's not easy. It's like, I think at this point, Bungie, when it comes to Bungie, I think Bungie sticks with it because Bungie is something that's more than just the game. Bungie is actually a very, very well-known company, and it's tied to a lot of good things in gaming and stuff. So they will always, I think, until they have no more money and they can't pay the people to make the games, they're always going to try to do something special with the games that they bring out. Same thing with Digital Extreme. Once they brought Warframe out, they live by that game. That game is going to live and die with Digital Extreme at this point. What does Massive have? I mean, other than, bringing out Division, which people didn't too much care for in the beginning, and they made a lot of different changes to it over the course of the year. They made it better with the new updates before Part 2 came out, but then they fell into that same trap that Bungie fell into with Destiny 2 when it released with Division 2. But the only difference is Bungie bounced back because they feel like they're a company that has to bounce back because of the namesake of the company. Massive, like, what do they really have at stake? I mean, is Ubisoft really pushing them to do something to make it better?
I don't know what's going on internally in regards to the state of the game, but I do know that Massive is not. I'm not going to say they're a massive company, but they are. They're working on multiple games simultaneously. They're actually working on the Avatar game that's going to launch right when the next Avatar movie comes out. So that is the bulk of their studio after the first Division game came out has gone to working on that and have been doing that for a while. So they've had like half their studio working on Division 2 and then even less after the game launched. That's why I think that they went to the whole free content for the first year, because and then you look at the content and it's just these little episodes that, yeah, of course this is free. This is barely anything at all. And so they knew they didn't really have much to give you post launch. So they were like, we're going to do this for free. And they marketed it really well. They really had us all going, oh, free. Right. And then you see it and you're just like, I mean, I will never forget how it looked at E3 when they announced what the next year content was, and the whole crowd was just kind of like, it was like people was looking at it like with like the slow clap, like, what is this? This is it? And none of it seemed to be coming out this year. None of the interesting parts of it seemed to be coming out this year. It's really sad because I'm a Division fan, and I played so many hours in the first game. There's nothing wrong with being
that, though. It's nothing wrong with you being that. The problem, and guess what? I think this is going to be the year for Bungie that we're going to see how they handle it, because this is going to be the first full calendar year that they don't have somebody like
breathing down their neck.
Yep, breathing down their neck. But this is the thing.
But they don't have that money either.
They don't. It's not even the money. Think about this. It's not. I don't even think it's the money. I think it's the develop. Like I said, it's hard making a games and service because you got to make people happy, and you got to always have content coming out. They had 3 extra companies helping them support Destiny. And they don't have that anymore. Now, granted, that comes down to money too, because you got to pay all those other companies to actually come in and help develop your game and make DLC for it. But the fact that they don't have that support on the development side, look, the stream for Bungie, the season of the Dawn launches next Tuesday for everybody. The reveal stream was today. Now, it was really lukewarm because everybody was wondering. Bungie hasn't put out a trailer or anything. They put it out yesterday, by the way, and it looks fire. But they didn't put out a trailer. They didn't hype it up like they normally do in their Bungie way weeks and weeks before the DLC launch. They launched the trailer yesterday, and the reveal trailer was today. And when we watched the reveal trailer, people were like, is this it? And first thing people start thinking about is, yeah, Bungie's a huge company, but Destiny is kind of bigger than a company at this point, because in order for you to maintain a free player base that's playing your game for free and try to appease the hardcore fan base, it's hard. And I don't know how, but like I said, we'll find out next week. It's more stuff probably that we don't know that Bungie just hasn't talked about yet. But there's a lot of people that's concerned about what is going to be going through this whole season. Is it going to be 3 months of just like going through the motions of playing a game, or are we going to get substantial stuff throughout the year? I just think that it's very, very hard without a big company behind you helping you push to see how like the player base is going to go. And think of games like Rainbow Six. Ubisoft puts money behind Rainbow Six because guess what? Rainbow Six is relevant and it's always relevant. But Division, the game was selling for $12. It was selling for $12 over the weekend, bro. You know, Rainbow Six didn't even go on sale. Rainbow Six was still $29 for the base game, $59 for the advanced version that came with some DLC. And if you wanted the complete edition with Season 4, you still had to pay $109 for it. Wasn't even on sale. You know why? Because they know that game's going to sell to the small market that is in, and they're going to support that market versus try to keep throwing money at massive to hope that they can fix the Division. And that's where I feel like Massive's being like kind of cut short. But overall, it's just hard making the games with service. Think about Borderlands ain't even doing what it should have been doing. And we had high hopes for that game. That end game is trash.
Yeah.
So look, it's hard, man. It's just really hard to do this.
I think Gregor Von Doom makes a good point in the chat. People finish content that takes a year to make in a week. It's impossible to keep everyone happy. That's very true. I agree
with that. 100%.
And that's why you need to have a gameplay loop for these loot shooters or these ongoing games. The ones that are more successful are actually the ones that are doing less. Take Overwatch, take Rainbow Six Siege. The people who play those games consistently and are always playing those games, there's no new content that you really need to drop on a consistent basis for that. Take the Division and Destiny. People want a continuation of the story. They want story missions. They want, they want, there's a lot more they're looking for there. Whereas where Overwatch, you got people, they're learning these, and Siege also, because they both do the same thing. They give you a 24 characters that all play differently, and it takes some time for you to learn them. That's replayability. And then they give you a bunch of maps, and you play on those maps, and each match is different because you're playing with different people, and you have strategies and how to win and stuff like that. That content loop, that is a lot easier to develop for and keep people engaged than the looter shooter route. The looter shooter route is really hard. And we see even with digital streams with Warframe, that update they just came out with, the Warframe community is on fire. They're pissed off at digital streams because they keep announcing stuff that don't come out. And then and no one believes them now when they say, oh, this is going to come out in January. Yeah, right. Like, because the update they just came out with, they announced 2 years ago.
Hey, you want to get what's in the chat, Slow-Mo?
What? Oh, he says, instead of talking so much about, instead of talking so much shit about 343, why don't we talk about Cloud Imperium Games Star Citizen?
Yeah.
The problem is that's a free-to-play. Isn't that it's Kickstarted still, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
raised
Yeah, but
they
they
got
got
like
like 250 million
Yeah, they got some
It's
crazy,
dollars
still
donated.
crazy money over
Kickstarted.
there, and that game still ain't out.
It
Look,
still
look.
ain't out yet.
If you
Yeah,
paid
you know
your
what?
money for Star Citizen,
I call that-
look, it looks beautiful.
I call
It
that
looks
game.
amazing, but
I call
That's
that
robbery.
game. Yeah, I call
Highway
that.
robbery.
I call that game the hustle.
Oh
200
yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, you raised
It's a
250
real
million.
hustle.
Seriously.
Hey, if you give me that much money to make a game, you ain't gonna never get it because I'm gonna be
if
somewhere.
you still putting money into Star Citizen, that's your own fault. Like
Yeah.
honestly, although I always hear people complaining about Star Citizen, but they're never like the Star Citizen player. Like, because you can play it, it's just not officially out.
Yeah, you
But-
got a build of the game. You always are up to date if you're a Kickstarter.
You're a Kickstarter, yeah. But still, man,
Yeah.
I mean, like to raise that much money, like it's a lot of money. I mean, that's beyond like AAA budget. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
some AAA games are only
Dude, that's
60,
half of
70
what
million.
Bungie cost to launch Destiny.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild that that they've got that much money and the game hasn't come out yet, and all the legal issues they've dealt with like the engine
Yep.
and all that stuff. And I think was it Crisis that was trying to sue them because
I think it
they're not
was,
paying
yeah.
them for the engine and
Yeah.
yeah, you know it's it's a hustle, man. Like
Oh
I
my
like
gosh.
that game is considered the hustle. I like
it
That's
is.
what I
It
call
is
the hustle.
Star Hustle. That's what you call it. Star Hustle.
Star hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting, man. You're getting it looks beautiful. You know, if you got the gaming rig to run it at highest settings. You know,
Yeah, it definitely looks good.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a game. It's a hotel of a game. I mean, you know, I watched Level Cap when he does like his Star Citizen updates and stuff on the game, and like he did like the fighter jet where you can go in the jet, you got living quarters and you got frigates and star freighters and stuff. You can get in and walk around. It take you 30 minutes to walk through the whole thing. I was like, this is really
So
cool if you could play
paying
it
people are paying thousands of dollars
for
a
ships.
digital ship.
Yes,
I
they are.
cannot believe they had the audacity to suggest that price. And then
Slow-mo.
People buy it,
paying.
though, slow-mo.
People are
someone
buying it though,
actually
man.
buying it. Like
Buying
what?
it.
Who
That
is-
game is all whales. Everybody that is a bunch of
Who
whales.
are these people? I need to find
It's
them
top- it's
so
the
I
top
can
1%.
swindle them out of some more of their money because clearly they don't deserve it, and I could use some more. So like, let me go. I mean,
Slow-mo, you got a Kickstarter game, man. Slow-mo citizen.
exactly. It would be paper planes.
Paper
I'll
planes.
sell some paper planes for
Oh my
$1,000. Come on, man. Like you clearly don't want your money.
That's too funny. Hey guys, I want to transition to the last topic of the night. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, Slow-mo, and I'll let you chomp into this real quick. But according to Kotaku, sources from Microsoft had informed Kotaku that Microsoft will indeed be launching 2 consoles next holiday 2020. Now
If
we
you
heard
need the
about
quotes, I got them right here.
yeah. Actually, that'd be great. But real quick, we heard about Lockhart. I think back about a year ago. I think it was, and then it was now. There's not going to be a Lockhart. I gotta say what's really interesting, and then I'll let you get to your quote, Slow-mo. And this is kind of what I'm confused about. We know Anaconda is going to be like the big next gen leap for Microsoft. I think Microsoft's targeting probably more than 10 teraflops of graphical power for the Anaconda, but it sounds like Lockhart is currently targeting around 4 teraflops of graphical power. Lockhart's looking to include solid state drive, be diskless, and so I think what are the resolution targets and frames per second for Lockhart?
I'll just quote it directly from Jason Schreier's article. Let me get that. He said Microsoft's ideal target performances are said to be 4K resolution and 60 frames per second on Anaconda, and 1440p resolution and 60 frames per second on Lockhart. That doesn't mean that every single game on these consoles will live up to that performance. It's the target that Microsoft is pushing developers to hit. So Lockhart is definitely going to be more powerful than, say, the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. It looks like for the I think it also says in here that the CPU is going to be faster. That's currently anything current on the market, which isn't difficult to do. These Jaguar CPUs and current consoles are trash.
But Slimo, isn't the X 6 teraflops?
Isn't the X
graphical
able
power?
to run 4K, 1440p, 60 frames?
No, not really. It can
Some games.
run 1080p 60 frames for if you target 1080p 60 frames, it can do that with like low what be on PC low to mid settings. Cool. If you go to for the games that we see that are one, very few Xbox One X games are running at 1440p. It's either 1080p or it's native 4K or dynamic 4K. And for the most part, we see dynamic a lot.
Slimo, question for
Yeah.
you though. But when they talked about graphical power, the 4 teraflops for Lockhart, the X is at 6.
Is that 6?
So the boost for the if you look at CPU, yeah, there's going to be a significant CPU boost for Lockhart, but you're going to have less graphical power.
I don't think the teraflops really. I don't think they matter as much in the long and short of things, and the grand scheme of things, and how powerful it's going to be. The CPU being better is going to be what is really going to make it. If it really can do this, it's going to be what's going to make it a lot better there. Because you think about right now, every time we see a Xbox One X game struggling to get higher frame rates, it's always every single performance test or Digital Foundry video or VG Tech or whoever. They're always it's always the CPU that's the issue. The CPU is definitely going to make sure that all that stuff it gets better, and then having whatever APU that AMD is putting in there also is going to make sure that those frames work. It's just whatever it's going to be at, it's not going to be clocked at the same amount that
Real quick,
the Scarlett's going to get.
Glorious War in Live Chat says, who owns a 1440p TV?
Nobody,
and that's the problem. Why would you? I said it on Boone's channel earlier today. I said I feel like it's nice if they do want to bring out this whole Lockhart situation and stuff, but I don't think it's necessary because you have an X that you still haven't gotten the full potential out of. I know that, especially if you relegate it to 4K upscaling and 1080p gaming, if you just lock those games on that system at 1080p or just give it upscaling up to 4K, and I feel like it can definitely be a better option than what people have. I just feel like that's too much R&D that they're trying to put into trying to outpace a system that they're not going to outpace anyways. Their focus isn't even on consoles anymore, so why put more unnecessary R&D into another system when you got an Xbox One X that can be the entry level to your platform, and then you just ball out with the Xbox Scorpion with the Scarlett?
Slimo, but
That's
aren't they?
What they should do.
I'm sorry, Forte. Aren't they? But aren't they also not, at least for the time being, like not leaving any console behind? Meaning that theoretically,
that's the point.
Theoretically, you're gonna have an Xbox One S, you're gonna have an Xbox One X. You're going to have Lockhart and you're going to have Anaconda.
Well, the Xbox One and the Xbox One S are dinosaurs at this point. The S is basically what did they just boosted the CPU clock on the S over the original one. But those things, have you played Star Wars on one of those systems?
No,
don't
I won't.
try.
No,
it's pretty terrible. Don't even try.
It's booty juice.
Yeah, don't even try. The X is, as much as, look, Microsoft said they're leaving no system behind. They're going to be forced to leave systems behind sooner or later because the games are going to be, developers are not going to be handicapping their games on, GIMP hardware. Sooner or later, they're just going to recommend that you just get an X. And the X is going to probably be priced pretty nice at probably $200 to $300, $250 to $300 when the new system comes out, maybe $250, and that will be a perfect entry point for somebody that has a S or original Xbox to jump up and get into that ecosystem if they want to. If they want to ball out and get the Scarlett when it releases, you can do that too. But there's no reason for you to bring out another system on top of the system you're bringing, because if unless Microsoft's saying this is the last generation that they're bringing hardware out, which they said is not. They said they're going to be bringing out this is just the next step. Why would you get one system by bringing another one out, and then maybe in 3 years bring out another successor to the Scarlet? Just save the Lockhart, use that as a mid-gen refresh to the Scarlet, and just do what you did this generation all over again. I mean, that would be the more feasible thing to do, because
That makes more sense.
It makes more sense because you're going to waste. Like, the X has only been out 3 years. I mean, it's not the greatest. I mean, it's a good system. Is it like a high-end PC? No, it's a decent, medium-sized PC. It does what it needs to do, and that could be a great entry point. But if you bring out a Lockhart within 3 years of bringing out your X, first of all, a bunch of people that bought the X and they aren't ready to upgrade yet are going to feel slighted. Because I'm sorry, if I didn't have the money to go out and buy a Scarlet, I will be like, well, I can't afford a Scarlet, and you bringing out a system that I just bought 2.5, maybe 2 years ago, and telling me that this system's already better. That I don't like the way that goes. It just doesn't feel right.
What about all the people who bought an X this holiday season? Because
exactly,
there's rumors that they're only coming out with the like a bigger system, and now Lockhart is coming out now, so it's just like, oh well, I probably could have waited.
This is the funny thing. Now, can Lockhart be this? Maybe we're looking at this rumor all wrong. Could the Lockhart just be code name for an Xbox One X without a disk drive in it?
No, that they already the Jason Schreier article. The Jason Schreier article basically outlines what the Lockhart is. It's very, very much in line with what Scarlet is, just not as powerful as the Scarlet, with no drive, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, and
it's going to have a solid state drive in it. It's going to have a lot of things that are going to impact loading times and stuff like that. So I think that is a focus for them in the future. And the One X is One X has better load times than, say, the previous Xbox One.
But guess what you could do though? Yeah, you're right about that. And guess what you could do? You can literally release a cheaper version of the X without a disk drive in it, just like you did with the all digital S. Drop the price by $100, and if you want to add a solid straight hard drive, you ain't got to add the one that's like in the Scarlet, but just add an SSD to an X, and that could keep the price to that $300 magical point. It will still be underneath the price of the PlayStation 5. But you're hitting two birds with one stone. You're making an all digital version of a system if you want it, and you are covering a little bit faster load times and still keeping a competitive $300 price point by just doing something like that. I just feel like it's just a waste of money for you to double dip on both sides when it's not going to make a difference, because PlayStation, no matter what, is going to still outsell you. Yeah, it sucks, but it's going to outsell you regardless.
I mean, I agree that just going with the One X as the cheaper option for Xbox console gaming is like the better route. It's cheaper, and it would serve the same benefit than creating a whole nother SKU to do that. Right. But I think the bigger problem that they're going to see is that, one, we know that developers don't like this. So developers have come out and said that they're not really cool with this focus, because this is more different SKUs, not SKUs, but different versions of their game they have to put out in order to make sure that they're hitting every single SKU that Microsoft is putting out. And it's going back to what we were talking about before about Halo Reach. Like, their own in-house studios can't do all these different versions and make sure at launch that the game is running well. We saw this with Halo Reach, where the Steam version is the only one that is really like had a smooth launch. Everything else, every other platform has a problem. You're going to add one more to that now. I'm sorry, two more. You're going to have Scarlet and Lockhart now. So now you want third-party developers, that just your personal studios, but your third-party developers also to be developing different versions of the game for Lockhart and Scarlet, and then the Xbox One family. Come on now, it's too much, man. Like it's not practical, and it seems like they haven't quite learned that your developers and what they are like. They don't have to make games for you.
Right.
So if they like, and you just went through a generation where you were a much smaller platform, and then some games just didn't come to you because studios just did not have the resources to make it on multiple platforms. So they chose the one that had the bigger audience, PlayStation. You're now giving them another reason to not put games on your platform. Because if I can't just put games on the Scarlet. I gotta put it on the Scarlet, the Lockhart, the Xbox One X, and the Xbox One S. Come on, man.
Well, that's the thing that I'm trying that I was like talking about earlier today, like with WarioWare, like how does that work from a development standpoint with all those consoles now? You know, at least for the short term. You know, at some point they'll probably abandon ES and the X. But then again, they said they're not going to leave anyone behind.
The first two holidays is going to have a lot of the same games.
Yeah,
on both generations.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? At least the sports games, they're going to be on both generations. So if you're looking at it from that developer standpoint in regards to that, you know, like Slomo was saying, that's 4 different Xboxes that you're trying to code your game for. That's a lot of work.
Yep. And it's why I actually think in 2-3 years from now we're going to be talking about once again Xbox going back on things they said that they were going to do, because this is not feasible, and they're going to see the developers are going to be like, nah, we're going to pass. Even more now than you see it now with like something like Lawbreakers, even though that game bombed. But even though Cliffy B was just too much ego and too proud to say it, his studio was just too small to do this on multiple platforms, period. When you got small indie devs that have good games, but they just don't have the resources to put those games on multiple platforms, then they're just not going to do it. Some of them will, and then you'll have like a situation with After Party and Night School Studios where they put After Party on every damn thing. They put it on toasters, and it ran like crap on everything. And the game's not even that graphically demanding. But hey, when you're a studio of 12 people, you're putting games on almost more platforms than your total studio. Then yeah, you're gonna have some bugs and some issues. Other developers will be like, yeah, we not even trying to deal with all that. We just gonna put it on PlayStation and PC, and we're good. And that's you're not making it better you're making it better for you because you're trying to hit, you know, all these different demographics. Hey, you know, for the gamer who's more casual and he doesn't want to spend a bunch of money on a overpriced, you know, piece of hardware. He doesn't care about the graphics that much. He just wants his game to run a little bit quicker. We got something for you. And like, yeah, it's great you want to hit all these different demographics, but that's just, again, it's not practical in real world settings to do that. And they're going to find out why. And I think in some years from now, we're going to be hearing, yeah, future games aren't coming out on the Xbox One consoles. Maybe Xbox One X. It'll run on it. But
you think these guys kind of know what they're doing, though, too? Like, can we give them the benefit of the doubt?
They're going to have to prove it to me that they know what they're doing.
Fair enough.
Because, I mean, just because you have the job doesn't mean you know how to do the job. I mean, these are the same company that told us, hey, if you we have a console for you, it's called the Xbox 360, you know, while you're trying to promote your new console. Like, you would think that's you don't say that, dummy. But yeah, you know, that guy was in charge. So
well, I mean, don't like game developers or they develop their games on PC and they scale to the consoles and then they optimize for whatever the console's hardware is to, right? I mean,
it hasn't been working for Microsoft on their games for some reason.
Oh, have any of you guys played Monster Hunter World on a Xbox One S?
Sure have.
On the S, no.
It's trash.
You see how god awful it looks?
It's bad.
Yeah, I've seen how it looks. Yeah.
Because I have an S in my office and my X is on my bigger TV. When I play it on the S, oh my god, it's hideous. Don't even want to play the game. It looks absolutely garbage. So
See, And that's
You
the thing,
just
like,
think like Assassin's Creed or whatever the next big Ubisoft game is going to launch, day and date with the next generation. Is it going to run well on the Xbox One S? Probably not.
No. I don't even expect Ubisoft to have it run. They're going to say it's not playable on the Xbox One S, so don't even do it. Like, don't even buy it if you have that. I think they will be telling people that, which I don't know how you stop people from doing it. I don't know if like you have a 1S. I mean, it's the same store on.
Well, no, you can buy it. They're just gonna let you know that optimal performance is on the Xbox One X.
Yeah, but then
Forte,
it's going to run on the Xbox One X.
Yeah,
it's
the
just
optimal performance is going to be up on the Scarlet.
yeah, that's going to be
Well,
the
no,
best
well,
performance.
I'm just saying, but they're gonna say maybe you'll get to the point where minimum requirements on the system box is gonna be for console.
oh boy, are we gonna? But Forte, don't you think Forte like
you flip over the back of
you
the box?
You laughing at it,
and
but that's
it
what's
say,
gonna
like,
probably be. You're gonna have
it's gonna
minimum
have-
requirements on the back of a box.
Forte?
Yeah, you go over the box and it's going to have all the little Xbox symbols, and
Yeah.
Oh my
the X is
god!
the S is going to have like a red X next to it. Like,
Oh my god! Forte, how do you sell this at your store, man? These two
How do you-
consoles. Like
you
what?
don't. I don't know. It's already. I'm just gonna tell people to go with what they money can afford. If your money can afford an X, get an X. If you can afford a Scorpio, get a Scorpio. But don't buy an S and don't buy a regular Xbox.
Oh my goodness!
I'm sorry. That's what it's gonna come down to. And for me, that's what me knowing what the differences is. What about all these people that don't? What about PlayStation people that don't play and own Xboxes? There's more of them out here than any damn thing. So how do you expect them to like explain to a person that has no idea what system that they should buy? It was already bad with how many SKUs Xbox has now. Now you trying to make it even worse? Nah, man. Just
Yeah.
Just stick with what you got now and stop trying to. They don't even care about console sales. Why make two?
Yeah, that's the thing.
man.
That's the thing I find interesting. It's like they don't care about selling consoles, but then they're making two. I who knows? I mean, they I don't know. To me, I just give them the benefit of the doubt right now. I feel like
so where do you
maybe
guys think it's going to be priced at?
300.
$299?
Yeah,
The
I think it's gonna be
Lockhart?
300.
The Lockhart?
Yeah.
I think the Lockhart is going to be 400.
Really?
If
Yeah,
the
I
Lockhart
think
is
it's gonna
if the Lockhart's 400, then
So you think there's only be $100 disparity between the two?
I think it's
Yep.
gonna be $100 to $200.
Because
it
the
better
only
be more.
differences that we've seen that just Schrader's article says is that it's going to not have a drive, which that's not that expensive. That's like $50 right there. So it's not going to have a drive, and it's going to be clocked a little lower.
So what's the price of the Scorpio going? I mean, the
that's
Scarlet gonna be?
it's going to be 500.
So is that going to be the same price as the PlayStation 5?
Yeah, I mean, well, Phil already said he's going to make sure there's no price imbalance like it was at the beginning of
but
this
slow mo
generation.
couldn't that price
Hey man,
imbalance?
they probably came to the table and just said, "Yo, we selling these new consoles at 500, and you can go ahead and release your Lockhart if you want to, but our main console is going to be 500. So if you want to release the Scarlet at 500, do your thing." I guarantee you, behind closed doors, that's probably a conversation that was had.
Probably, yeah. Whatever PS5 launches at is going to be the price of the Scarlet.
Yeah.
They will make sure
But
that if anything they've learned from the Xbox One is don't launch $100 more expensive.
slow mo, if they do launch $100 more expensive and more powerful, and they have something that's $100 cheaper, they can always say, "Hey, you know what? We do got something cheaper."
Yeah, but that's not.
But that's not how you want to start a generation, though.
No, not at all.
How you want to?
It was like, hey, I mean,
Because then, like, the
Yeah.
people who get that, they feel like an instant regret. Because it's like, yo, I should have just spent that extra $100. Because, like, you'll get it for 30 days or, 60 days or whatever. And
That's why it needs to be like a $200 difference, 150, 200. It can't be that's stupid. I mean, think about it. That's why.
Because you think, like, once you get an extra controller, you're already 65 in. You know what I mean? So to spend an extra $100, you might as well just go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
that
that's
point.
true. Yeah, hey, real quick, One Bad Mother in the live chat. By the way, OBM, welcome to the PC Master Race. He picked up a PC Black Friday. He said that,
Nice.
what did he say? He said the next gen games that don't scale to this gen will be defined on a technical level by CPU and SSD. This gen was GPU.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that's true.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of talk of CPU and the SSD being big features in these consoles, but I just wonder from a development standpoint. Again, I'm not a developer, but I just feel like, again, in my opinion, I think now you have Sony. Maybe they have one console, even though there's a rumor that there is that rumor too, guys, that Sony was going to launch two consoles.
I don't believe that.
But if they don't,
that.
I mean, like, so do you think Sony now has the advantage? Like, they can truly just focus on one console. Does that give them an advantage at all, you think?
I think it does with the developers, yeah. Because the developer, it's easier for them. They don't have to make multiple, it's less work that needs to go into that. They can just make their game for this console with this target specs. They're not they don't have multiple dev kits for different versions and having to split resources off to work on this one and that one. I mean, they're already doing that if they're already going multiplayer anyway. So to have to do that even further, I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah, because you think they got to, next generation consoles, they'll have the advantage for CPU. You know what I mean? So to double back and don't have those same resources, I'm sure that's going to take a little bit more work to ensure that the game runs properly.
Yeah, I don't see Sony doing that. Out of all the things that we talk about, something that would Sony follow Microsoft in doing, I don't see that being any of it. Like I could see them going day and date with their exclusives in PS Now before I see them launching multiple SKUs.
Yeah.
Which they already said they're not doing that, at least not right now. So I don't see it at all. I think they got a PS5, they've got the specs in mind, and that's where they're at right now.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I mean, I think this news, when Jason posted this, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting to hear that, considering that Microsoft kind of denied that this was going to happen last year. But it's going to be interesting how it plays out. I'm not getting Scarlet. I don't know. Are you guys picking up Scarlet? Is that the plan?
Nope. That's why I built this PC. This PC is my current gaming PC that I built is more powerful than what PS5 and Scarlet would be.
Yep. Same.
So I'm good.
Yeah, you got that nice CPU, man. I might upgrade my CPU if I do anything.
And see now, if you decide to do that, that's going to be this is why I decided to go with the kind of the CPU I went with, because it's kind of future proof for myself, because your CPU can determine whether you need to actually change your motherboard or not, depending on
no,
what CPU you go to.
I think I'd probably have to change my motherboard.
If that's the case, you might as well just start
all over from scratch.
All over, yeah. So like, I mean, you just got yours now, and I think. What's your CPU now anyway?
I have the Ryzen 2700X.
Yeah, I can't say.
People are speculating that the PlayStation 5 will have the Ryzen, a version like the Ryzen 3700X.
But it's an APU, which is really a mobile kind of CPU, and it's not going to be clocked the way yours is. It's not going to be.
That's true.
Yeah, it'll need less cooling than what yours is. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better than yours. I would wait until you see what they come out with.
Yeah, I'm going to give myself like 2 years, before I even start thinking about upgrading. I already set money aside, to either completely buy a new computer or give my kids the one I have now, because my kids are really starting. Now my kids are starting to come and they want to play on my computer now. Because they go on Steam, they see all these games they want to play now. So I might do that. I don't know, we'll see, but who knows? But
I would say if based off of what has been transpiring, if I don't know, you know, if you guys kind of keep up with the Intel, the wars between Intel and AMD.
yeah,
But AMD is really stepping it up, and they've basically Intel has really rested on their laurels, and kind of what we talked about earlier in the podcast. When you're an industry leader and you don't continue to keep challenging yourself and keep pushing yourself, you end up like Intel right now, where Intel is really starting to they just released a i9 1098 that in some cases performs worse than the the previous i9. That's ridiculous. Meanwhile, AMD is dropping products that are coming out with more cores, with more threads, and it's getting to the point now where I can really see it in 2 or 3 years if Intel doesn't really hunker in and completely change how they're developing their products, where AMD is the king, at least on the CPU side of things. So if you're going to end up building a new one, don't just kind of keep your eye out for this, because Intel might not be the way to go.
well, I mean, one of the reasons why I went with the 2700X is because of the pricing, and it got really good reviews. And I just figured, why the hell not? I mean,
Hey, real quick,
yeah.
this is for native laurels.
What?
You just look in the chat. He's
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard for me to like go back. Like I said this, and this isn't a knock against the Xbox console, but I think the best thing that Microsoft did for me was, bringing that Xbox ecosystem to PC. It's just gonna be hard for me to go back to console, like playing Jedi Fallen Order on the Xbox One X and on PC. Different experience for me. Like I know it's like 4K HDR and all that. I think people get lost in that 4K HDR stuff. And it's great, but I mean, you've seen it, Slow-Mo. These games look better on PC, man.
Yeah,
especially with the cards that we have. I don't know about Forte's got a 660 or something. I don't know, some old graphics card, but
660. The hell?
I'm just making shit up, man.
8600K, sir. One generation behind your card. Ain't that bad?
I know. No, you got a good card, man. So.
1080 Ti, I'm good.
Yeah. Silver Raven Moon in the live chat saying, "Brap, your CPU is good for years to come."
Yeah, you're probably good, man.
Yeah, Z Black
you got a 99X, right? X99.
That's what
9900.
That's what Slow-Mo has.
Oh, Slow-Mo got that.
Yeah, I got an AMD
baller status.
And Slow-Mo's you got the 2070 Super.
Yeah, I got 2070 Super. And I have my CPU is a i7 9700K.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'm good for.
Hey, real
for
quick, guys.
One
Full
thing I
Spencer,
probably do is upgrade my RAM to 32 gigs.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that, Slow-Mo. Real quick, guys. You see Phil Spencer tweet out that he's now officially gaming on the Scarlet console. So he put that out there. You guys think that has anything to do with people talking about, there's been a lot of chatter around, the dev kits not, Scarlet dev kits not being in the hands of developers. Although developers, they have an idea based on like PC specs, what the Scarlet's going to entail in terms of specs. But you think that's coincidence that he tweeted that out? And I say that because big shout out to the guys that were RDX podcast. They had Ricari on, and he's like, yeah, those guys pretty much read everything and know about everything that's kind of said on Twitter. And that was kind of a hot topic going around Twitter. That whoa, wait a minute, maybe Microsoft's trying to surprise Sony by giving these dev kits late. And now Phil Spencer tweets out that, yeah, in fact, I am playing Scarlet right now, or have it at my house. So I thought the timing of that was kind of interesting. Do you guys think that maybe is a response to some of the concern maybe about Scarlet's the dev kits not being out in the wild?
I could probably. I mean, it did seem like an odd tweet to just say that out of nowhere. Just like, hey, I just took home this week the actual Scarlet system, and it kind of like, because like even we were talking about in the DM, and me and E, shout out to E, was we're talking about like, so you're just giving dev kits to developers, but you got the finished product in your house. Like, like it kind of throws into question some of the conversations that have been happening with like Tom Warren and Jason Schreier on Reset Era and stuff like that. So yeah, I think to Ricari's point, they see everything, and I think sometimes they feel compelled to say some things in a certain way to kind of dispel some narratives, but.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As far as them holding back on developers with the dev kits to kind of surprise Sony, I don't think that's it at all. I think that I don't know what the reason is. I know Jason Schreier suggested that they're just behind right now and getting stuff out, and they're going to be coming in hot at launch. I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't know if that's true either. So. But I don't think the whole trying to surprise them, like we're going to keep all this secret, and so that Sony doesn't know what we're going to actually launch at, so we could be more powerful. I don't think that's. I think both Sony and Microsoft know what the other product is at this point. You can't give someone dev kits and expect them. They talk to your other platform too sometimes. So yeah, stuff's going to get out, and there's no way to trace it back to a particular person. They gotta know this stuff.
I mean, they share. Hey
guys, I gotta pay the bills real quick. Gotta pay the bills real quick. Big shout out to my man Irrelevant Native with the $3 super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, my friend. He says, had to show some love. You guys are great. Thank you, man. We appreciate the support, man.
Native.
Mad love, man.
Thank you, Native.
Appreciate that.
Z Black Rider says,
you're great, sir.
Z Black Rider says Phil's trolling the media. Look, I think it's funny. Like I see a lot of people debating back and forth which console is going to be more powerful. I mean, I don't know, guys. I'm more like looking forward to the games, because I think we pretty much know it's been talked about that these consoles are going to be more alike than they are different. Maybe one console might do one thing better than the other, but I think for the most part, I think the consensus out there is that they're going to be pretty similar in power. So I'm just more than anything just looking forward to the games. What they're going to look like next generation. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And I don't think the power really matters. Like from everything that they're talking about, and they're using the latest and greatest from AMD, that the systems will be powerful enough. That's all I care about. Although I'm probably only going to buy the PS5, that it's powerful enough that I don't have to be playing a game and seeing a issues with performance, or frame rate drops, and all kinds of artifacting all over the place. And it's just like, man, if the hardware was better, this wouldn't be an issue. I don't think that's going to be a problem next gen, and I'm happy for that. But people thinking with this expectation that a more powerful system, regardless of who is more powerful, will mean those games will look and play better. All games will look and play better on that particular console. That doesn't always. I mean, we've seen that this gen. That's not really always true. The PlayStation. I got games on my regular PS4 that are first party games for Sony that look better than games on my One X, because. And I'm not comparing the same game, multiplayer. I'm talking about first party games like Uncharted 4. Whereas, the first party games on my One X, State of Decay 2, it doesn't even compare. It's about the talent of the studio that's making the games, period. So yeah, as long as your hardware is good enough that the talent doesn't have to do, jump through hoops in order to get the game running well. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good point,
the rest
sir.
of it is just console warring, period.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. Good point. Gentlemen, on that note, we go ahead and wrap up the podcast. My voice is going. I can feel it.
It's already gone.
Thank you, Forte.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
He's like, your voice sounds like shit, Enrique.
I ain't say that.
But now, you know, everyone in the live chat, thank you guys for putting out with my. Someone said I sound like. Oh shit, I forget.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong. That's terrible. Also, if you said the DOC, maybe I give you that. You know, maybe I sound like the DOC a little bit. But I don't know about Louis Armstrong. But thank you guys, everyone in the live chat, for hanging out with us again this evening, this fabulous Wednesday. And big shout out to Mr. Eric Jackson, who couldn't make it this evening. And big shout out to the panel, Slow Mo, Forte, and B Money. Forte, man. Dude, I love your positivity, man. Your charisma, your videos. Let everyone know where they can find you, man.
Yo, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube and Twitter. And sometimes you can see me voice acting on the Slow-Mo Backslap channel, you know, making sure that audio on that channel is
Wow.
as it can always be. So making sure that those jump cuts are perfect in those videos that he's making. But yeah, you can catch me over there. Also, follow me at Slow-Mo Backslap on Twitter. You know, that's my secondary channel. A lot of good conversations over there. I like to clap back on that channel, so just make sure you guys are ready for anything like that.
Oh my gosh.
But outside of that, man, really, really great show. Really appreciate it. And Slow-Mo's my man, so I just gotta. One day they're gonna really believe that I actually make your channels, and I hope that doesn't happen.
I think there are some people who actually do believe that.
Probably believe that I actually make your videos. Slow-Mo puts a lot of hard work in those videos, and I'm just a fan like everybody else. So follow that man's channel. That man is consistent with his channel right now, and really interested in the stuff that he's bringing out on it. So keep that work up too, sir.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, big shout out to Eternal Shaddai. Says the super chats for Enrique to get himself Robitussin. Thank you, sir.
Gotta get that tussin, boy.
Yeah, get that. Hey, boy, but let that tussin sink into the bone.
Just rub it in there. Yeah. Just get down in your bones.
Yeah, let that tussin soak in. Let that tussin soak in.
Your heel broken leg is what some Robitussin, man.
Tussin's a cure for everything. Oh my goodness. Yeah, B Money, man. Oh, dude, always a pleasure, B. Let everyone know where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, man, you can find me here every Wednesday night, and then on Twitter, same name. And I'll be on Xbox a lot this month, actually doing the Gaming Perspective Xbox Achievement run right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the charity run that they have going on right now for sickle cell. So I'll be on Xbox a lot, so definitely come through, and you might see me playing Halo a lot because I got to go through and get a lot of those achievements in the Master Chief Collection. So if you see me on, jump in, man. Let's have some fun.
No doubt, man. No, that's awesome, man. And Slow-Mo, our IT guru.
Great show, guys. I think we had a great conversation tonight. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I thought it was pretty awesome.
Chrono Cross.
See, look, it was great until then. Like I'm taking points off every time Chrono Cross is mentioned. That's another point too, because I said it. But anyway, I'm actually, as Forte mentioned about my channel, I'm working on 2 videos. One might be out tomorrow, but definitely by the end of the week. One video will be about a game called Lost Ark. It's not out in this part of the world. It's kind of it is a MMO made by Smilegate, who also makes Crossfire X, but it's a pretty awesome game from what I hear, and I just want to, it looks great, and I always want to talk about and highlight games that look great that people don't really know about, and I really hope it comes out over here one day. So I'm gonna do a video about that, and also another video about the Division and where it's at with this whole, we're not making certain modes anymore.
I can't wait for that video, man. Slow-Mo.
I might
feel the passion.
I might be screaming in that one.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
But I mean, at least I got some other stuff I'm working on too. But at least those 2 are the latest up. So check the channel out. You know.
Nice. Hey, I gotta pay the bills again. Big shout out to One Bad Mother. with the $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says start Enrique CPU fund. He's got lots of kids. Oh my goodness. It's hilarious.
Got to be so hard at the DMV.
Yeah, man, it's expensive to live out here, man.
DMV is expensive. It's too expensive. But oh my God, that doctor. I'm not gonna. You see what what's his name, Dr. Sarakas? You see what he put in the live chat? I'm not gonna repeat it.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Oh my gosh, that is wow. I was gonna say let that soak in. All right, everyone, we'll catch you guys. Hey, by the way, next week my voice should be back to normal. By the way, and I won't sound like Louis Armstrong. So
He won't sound like Christian Bale trying to do Batman.
where is he? Yeah, actually,
Next week it'll be the day before the Game Awards.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, maybe we should do like a post-game show, awards thing show. We'll see.
We got to talk about the reveals, man. So,
Well, what day is that again? It's the 12th, right?
yeah, isn't it the 12th? Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
the
it's
12th
Thursday.
Yeah.
Hey,
it's
if
Thursday?
you guys want to do a post show, I'm down.
Yeah, maybe we should do a post show because I want to talk about Twitter melting down when Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding wins Game of the Year.
Yo, I really do hope it does, man.
I hope it does too.
I hope he
wanna
does
see.
too, so I can laugh.
I want
Oh
Hey,
man,
I would.
I'm gonna have so many screen
happy.
caps of everybody crying. Oh man,
I'm just gonna grab the popcorn, just lay back and watch Twitter melt.
I'm gonna be in tears if that happens. I'm telling. I please happen.
I hope it
like, I really need that to happen, man. You know, it's just to see the tears because it's gonna be pretty epic. But yeah,
I'm telling
you know, if it wins, J Dub is gonna be in rare form, man.
Oh my
of
God.
course,
J
of
Dub
course.
is gonna be trolling people.
Oh yeah.
Trolling people big time.
But I do also want to see the reveals because Wolf Eye Studios.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They got their game. They're going to reveal. I'm kind of excited about that. I think there was a couple of other reveals. I can't remember, but
Batman should be there.
yeah, the new Batman from Rocksteady should be there. Yeah, I'm really excited. That's the one thing I'm always excited for about the video game awards. I don't care about the awards at all. I don't care about who is in it, who got nominated, or whatever. I care about those game reveals though. So
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, big time.
I almost look more forward to the reveals than I do the actual awards.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, God, people keep saying, people want me to sing "What a Beautiful World." What a beautiful world. Sound nothing like Louis Armstrong, by the way.
Last year they revealed the Outer Worlds at the VGAs, right?
They did. Yeah, they did.
And this year it's a Game of the Year nominee. So some of these games are going to be games that are going to be coming out pretty soon, and they're going to be pretty good.
Hey, Slimo, they're going to show more of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, not that one though. Not that one though. Yeah. One bad mother said Gears Tactics. I thought I heard that Gears Tactics might be shown there. I don't know.
That would be smart. I think didn't Greenberg say they had stuff to show at Game Awards?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's that would make sense then.
Yeah. Hey guys, also remember, get your Xbox onesies while they last. They're back.
No.
I'm gonna pass on that one too.
Yeah, we'll leave them wherever they are.
Forte?
I'm good.
I think I'm good. All right, everyone. Hey, thanks, guys. Everyone in the live chat. We'll catch you guys next week. My voice should be back by then. I won't sound like Louis Armstrong. On that note, we are out. Peace. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy your time gaming. Death Stranding's Game of the Year.
Just because you love Xbox doesn't mean you have to sleep in it every night.
Oh, boy. Jesus. Oh, those pockets are pretty deep. You see the pockets on those onesies? can throw a controller
Yeah.
there.
You can
Yeah,
fit a whole
yeah.
controller in there. Or,
Yeah, you can put a whole controller. Go to sleep with your controller in your pocket. Yeah, sure can. Cause ain't nobody playing no games.
Jeez. Stop it, Forte.
I don't know, man. I'm positive, but
that comment
Halo,
was worth another dislike.
that Halo got me heated right now.
Yeah,
man.
I know it does. I heard you talking on Boom Show earlier. Yeah. All right, guys, we're out.
Right now.
Get the Xbox onesies while it lasts. Peace.
Get the one.
Peace.